So then the second album comes out. And the name of that album was?
Turning Point.
Right.
Yeah.
And the big hit off that album was?
Let Me Love You.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Scott Storch produced it.
Swear it up. Yeah.
And Neo wrote it? Okay. And up until that time, Neo was just a writer.
From what I know, yeah. He was just a writer.
Yeah. Neo, the artist, I guess, came from that record. From what, from my point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I think he already had, like, dreams of being an artist.
Well, of course. I mean, every writer does.
Yeah, but from what, I guess from there it was like, all right, he took inspiration from that moment and just started, doing his artist thing. I don't know. You have to ask him. I don't know his story as far as
right. Yeah, I've interviewed him before.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So when you first heard "Let Me Love You," did you know right away?
No.
I
had no idea.
No idea.
Nah.
Just another song you're working on.
Yeah, it was that moment in time. There was so much going on at the house. There was like multiple writers coming in and out. There was parties. We were having fun. It was like I was recording. We kept like 4 or 5 songs from that whole like 2 weeks I was in Miami recording. Or it might have been longer than that. But yeah, there was so much going on that I was just recording song after song, writing. When Neo came by, we did a few records, but that record, we knew it was special because of the feedback we got when people would come to the studio and play it. But what happened was the engineer actually erased the whole song by mistake. He lost all the files.
Okay.
He lost all the files to the record, and we ended up having to record the whole thing over. And it ended up being more special, in my opinion, the second time because I had already like learned the record. I was familiar with it, and I just sang it straight through the whole way.
Right.
Times.
And this was Scott at his height? Scott Storch at his height, pretty much?
I think
because he had already done.
I don't know, because he has so many levels of heights.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, but 2001 had already come out, right?
Yeah. I would say he was in his prime, I think, by that time.
But was Lean Back, that came out after?
I think it came out. What year did Lean Back come out?
Let's find out.
Yeah, let's look that up, because I'll tell you what had just come out.
2004.
Baby Boy had just come out. Me, Myself, and I had just came out because I was in EST was writing with me in the studio, and he wrote Me, Myself, and I with Beyonce. So yeah, it was right around that Dangerously in Love time.
2004 is when Lean Back came out. So
yeah.
Right around that same time. So this was Scott Storch in full swing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right, and this was.
But it's crazy through all of that. Like Scott was still focused as fuck, like on the music, man. He still is. He's just great at what he does, man. Scott's he's just in his own world, man.
Right.
He's just great.
But at that time, I remember I actually interviewed him during that time. We were talking before the interview. Like, I was at his mansion on, was it Star Island or something like that? Which became Birdman's mansion afterwards. He had a boat in the back that was bigger than the house I grew up in.
Yeah.
It was like weed everywhere, girls everywhere. It was, I remember in the front, he had the Bugatti, the Phantom, the Lamborghini, the Ferrari.
It was crazy, bro.
Shit
was crazy.
It was, Scott was on top of the world.
It was like some Scarface shit.
It was something, it was like a Scarface kind of house. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was.
But except this guy actually made music.
Yeah, instead of selling drugs.
Right.
He just did drugs. Like Scarface also.
Yeah.
But so you were working with Scott during this whole thing, and Scott is still a musical genius.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You came up with a song, and it was your biggest song ever.
Yeah. Easily. That like I said, I just came from a tour in Europe. I was doing festivals, 30,000 seaters, 40,000 seaters with other artists. When you have records, and I would say, and easily Let Me Love You is the biggest record here in the States, but I have unreleased records that were released overseas that were top 5 records. Top 2, top 3 records.
Let Me Love You wasn't?
Yeah, but I'm saying other records.
Got it.
When I go over there and tour, the shows I'm doing sometimes are just like shows that I wouldn't do here in the US.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like having those types of records, like it's a blessing. Because some artists don't, that came out when I came out. And they can't go and do those types of shows.
Let Me Love You, what was the top chart of that song?
Number 1.
It went number 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
For like 9, 10 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.